Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Parisha, the illustrator behind the artistic scroll, and in today's Procreate tutorial we're going to be illustrating a beautiful pearl in a shell.
This tutorial is the first in my August series of Late Summer Magic, and we're going to be exploring how to paint the shiny iridescent effect on the shell and pearl while making it all look lifelike and 3D.
So before we get started, here's what you'll be needing: your iPad, Apple Pencil, the Procreate app, and the sketch file and color palette for this tutorial, which you can find in the Artistic Archive using the link in the description below. The Artistic Archive is my library of free sketches and color palettes for which you can sign up right now. So download all the goodies and let's get started.
Welcome guys, so this is what your canvas should look like once you've downloaded it from the Artistic Archive. And as you can see in the layers panel, we've already got the sketch here on layer 1. So we're just going to tap on layer 1 there and rename this layer as our sketch layer. And then we're going to tap on N, which brings up all your blend modes here. So N is for normal. We're going to change the blend mode to multiply. We're going to reduce the opacity of this now to about 12% or so. And this will make sure that our sketch is still visible to us when we add in more layers subsequently as well. Okay, then we're going to select this active color, and you would have downloaded your color palette here as well from the Artistic Archive again. So this is Pearl in a Shell color palette. Tap on these 3 dots here and set it as active. Then we're going to just drag this color palette menu all the way to the left, and we're ready to get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is basically just fill in the background of this. So let's do that. We're going to create a new layer and then move this layer below the sketch layer. And then we're going to select this lilac color here, the first color in the first row, and then select this active color, drag it into our canvas. And we've got a nice, beautiful lilac background here. But we want to bring in a bit more of a gradient here as well. So to do that, we're going to create another layer on top of this background, and then we're going to tap here, and this brings up a nice menu here as well, and choose clipping mask on top of this. So clipping mask makes sure that whatever we create just stays onto that particular layer only, right? So we've tapped on clipping mask, we've got this little arrow here that indicates the mask is on. And then we're going to go ahead and select in airbrushing the soft brush, okay? And we're going to use this blue color, which is the second color in the first row. And let's say my brush size is about 20-21%. And we just want to create a nice soft blue color here. And I wouldn't go too far because we're going to be blurring it up a bit. So just about this much, maybe less than half of what this whole shell is as well. All right, and then once you've got this soft coloration here, we'll go to the adjustments panel and then select Gaussian blur here. And then this brings up a nice tool, which is very helpful in blurring things up for us. So we're then going to go ahead and blur it up to about, let's say, whatever works for you really. I just want it to be a nice bit of a blur. And if you feel like it's not enough, you might add a little bit more color there and repeat the process again. Just slightly. We've got a nice soft blur now, and I did it about 28% both times. You can do less or more, it's up to you. Okay, we're ready to get started with adding in all of our flat color layers now for each of these areas. So let's get started with that. So for this, we are going to create a new layer on top now, and well, still below the sketch layer. They'll all be below the sketch layer now. Okay, so we are now going to use in brushes. Let's go to inking and select the technical pen brush. And then we're going to select this first color here in the second row. And we're going to go ahead and paint the inner side. Now this is a very small brush size, so I'm going to go up to about 16% or so. Whatever is comfortable for you really. Now all we need to do for this one is to just paint in a rough inner side here for this shell. And by inner I mean that the edges that are there, this curved edge that you can see as an outline, we just need to be filling that in. So fill that in here. Great. Next, we're going to go ahead and create another layer on top. And we're going to use this darker gray color here, the second color in the second row. And we're going to paint in our outlines for this outer shell. Now feel free to rotate your canvas as you need. I do that a lot when I draw. And you don't need to be completely on point with the inner outlines at least, but definitely on the outsides you do, because they are the outer limits. But remember, on top we'll be having another layer which will be covering the edges, so it's completely fine to be a little bit messy with these. And then just fill it in. Okay, let's do the same thing here as well. I'm going to that was mistake there. Oh, and yeah, I mean, if you do make a mistake, you can always just tap twice with tap once with 2 fingers for an undo, and with 3 fingers it redoes things. So that's a quick gesture tip for Procreate. And then we're going to go ahead and just paint in these edges as well. You'll see what I mean a little bit more clearer once we've done the actual edge of this shell. Alright, and let's go ahead and create one more layer now. And we're going to use the third color in our second row. And now we're going to paint in this beautiful edge that will make this shell come alive. There, you can see that we've got the edge now, and because we had our outer shell behind it, this layer, so we could be messy with all of these. Right, so we've got the edge in place as well, and that's great. So the next thing that we're going to do is paint in the pearl. Now the pearl is going to be the same color as the inner shell area, so either you can pick the color from here or you can color pick from here as well. So just keep your finger onto the color that you want and it'll just get this color picker tool over here. Alright, so it says picking color from canvas, and that's great. So next we're going to create a new layer on top of the edge layer, and we're going to create a quick shape. So just to be able to see our pearl a bit better, because it's the same color as the shell, the inner shell, we're going to reduce the opacity of the inner shell layer. So click on N, and then we're just going to reduce this down here a bit. It's just to be able to see what we're doing a bit better. So go ahead and create a rough circle, and then just put your finger on here and don't let go. You can adjust the size of your circle like this, okay? As long as you don't lift your pencil off and your finger off as well. Now you can lift it off, at least your pencil, and there you go, you got that. And we're going to drag the color back in here, and you've got a perfect circular, well, spherical pearl here now. So we're going to bring back the opacity of the inner shell, and we're good with that. Next, we're going to create all of these seaweeds here as well. So create a new layer and move this below this inner shell layer, because our seaweeds are right behind that. Make sure it's not a clipping mask to the background. So we are going to use this darker blue color, the fourth color in the second row, for our seaweed. So let's go ahead and just paint in the outlines and fill it in. Now feel free to add in a little bit more waves to these seaweeds as well. You don't need to be completely sticking to the sketch, but just make sure that your shapes are complete before you fill them in, otherwise it'll drag on to the rest of the canvas. Okay, so that's looking great. Next we're going to be creating all of our bubbles. So to do that, we'll create a new layer and move it below the seaweeds layer. I mean, it doesn't matter, you can have it above or below, as long as it's not a clipping mask to the background. Okay. So for this one, we're going to use the same color as our inner shell. So pick it up again from the canvas or use the first swatch in the second row. And we're just going to paint in all of our bubbles now. Alright, so that's looking great. I've just noticed I didn't really complete my edge here, so I'm going to go back to my edge layer here, and we're going to just pick the color of the edge. And I'm just going to redo that because I forgot to fill it in on this side. Here we go. There you go. Mistakes happen and it's all right. Okay, so we're ready with all of our flat colors now, and let's get started with the inner shell. Okay, so before we move on to working on the inner shell, we just want to also reduce the opacity of the bubbles layer to about, let's say, 35%, because they're bubbles, they're going to be a bit more translucent, so yeah. Alright, so we're going to create a new clipping mask to our inner shell layer. And then we're going to go ahead and use these two colors, the light lilac and the light blue, to create a bit more of an iridescent effect for our pearl and oyster clam shell over here. Okay, so we're going to use this light lilac color, and then we're going to select in airbrushing, soft airbrush. Okay. And then I've got my brush size somewhere about 13-14%. And now we're going to place in these two colors alternately next to each other, basically. So imagine that this shell that we've got is a 3D structure, and each of these has a curve like that. It's curving inside like that, isn't it? So even here, we've got a curve that is going in this direction. So we have to imagine that the light that is coming, for example, I'll just use some color to see. So it's getting reflected over here, isn't it? So this color, the pink color, would be reflected on this side. The blue color is probably going to be reflected on its opposite side, so here, right? Similarly, over here on the top side, you can imagine that the blue is going to be seen more clearly on this side, whereas the pink is going to be likely on this side, if at all. So that's why we're going to be changing things a bit more as we go for each of these. It's just a little bit of imagination. It's not 100% accurate. You can have fun with it if you want. But yeah, follow ahead with me, and yeah, we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to delete this layer and then go back to our clipping mask and select this first pink color. So let's get started with this. So I'm going to place this pink color here, and then just going to have some fun with this and see. Okay, so once these are done, then we're going to select this light blue color and then just go ahead and paint it in on the remaining sides. Okay, so that's done. That's looking great. We're now going to go ahead and just blend all of these together. So go to the smudge tool, and I have basically just used the same thing, soft airbrush, and we're just going to use the soft airbrush for the smudging as well. Okay, so go ahead and just smudge it in. Don't need a particular brush size for this really. Just something that can give you a bit more of a blended appearance. Doing it manually really helps as well because instead of using Gaussian blur for this, Gaussian blur gives you a very uniform digital kind of a look, whereas individual brush strokes can be seen a bit more if you do it by yourself. And I think that looks more natural. Okay, and you can also go ahead and just add, erase a little bit of this on some ends. So I'm also using the soft airbrush as the eraser too. Just around the edges so that you also have this natural shell color visible too. Just in case you blended too much, just like I have. Okay, so that's looking nice. We're then going to go ahead and reduce the opacity of this layer down to about, let's say, 50%. Okay, so that's good. Now let's start adding some shadows to the shell and make it look a bit more 3D. Okay, so we're going to create a new clipping mask. And then we're going to change the blend mode of this layer to multiply. Right, let's select the same light lilac color, so the first color in the third row. And I'm going to increase my brush size. We're still using the soft airbrush. I'm going to increase it about 32% or so, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint in the shadow. Now you can imagine that, where are the shadows coming from? Shadows will be likely coming from, oh, that's the eraser, sorry. I meant my brush size up to about 28% or so. So you can imagine that the pearl is going to be casting some kind of a shadow for sure. Also, because this area of the shell is curved up like that, this is also going to be casting a bit of a shadow here, okay? And you can also imagine that because this area, if our light source is coming from here, right, from the top, then this top shell half is also going to be casting a shadow on top here, on the bottom here as well. So we've got plenty of areas for shadows, really, okay? And then a little bit of a shadow here behind the pearl. All right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just reduce the opacity of this layer down to about, let's say again, like about 57 to 60%. 57 is good. Okay, so that's looking nice. Then we're going to create another clipping mask and then change the blend mode of this one to multiply. And we're going to use this light blue color now. Now also, these aren't exactly shadows that we're trying to emulate here. This is more of the reflection of the surroundings falling into this side. So again, because the pinkish purplish side is not going to be really visible too much on this side, but more on the lower one because it's on top. Imagine the lights falling there. So you're going to see more pink and purple over here. And on this half, you'll see more of the blue one. So let's go ahead and paint in some blue over here. And let's see if we can also follow the shape of the inner curves, the individual curves of this shell a bit more. Because that's going to help bring in a bit more of a 3D effect already to this. Okay, let's blend it as well with the soft airbrush. Just remember to go right up to the edge, the top edge. Okay, so that's looking great. We're going to paint in some brighter pink color now to make it even more iridescent. Okay, so let's create a new clipping mask. And then we're going to change the blend mode of this layer to overlay. Okay, we're adding in some nice saturated colors now. So for this one, we're going to use our bright pink color right over here. This the first color in the fourth row. Okay, and then we're going to paint in these colors right here. Look at that. It's already looking very nice and bright. Keep adjusting your brush size as needed. Okay, and then go ahead and blend it as well. Alright, so that's looking nice. And now I want to add in a bit more of a texture to this shell, and we can have a nice frosted kind of a texture. So for that, let's create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode of this layer to color dodge. And we're going to use, in our brushes, let's go to painting and select the fresco brush. The fresco brush is a really cool brush. It gives such a beautiful texture, which is perfect for this particular shell at least. Okay, so we've still got our bright pink color here in the fourth row, and we're just going to paint in something light. Now I've got a brush size of about 10%, and it gives a very soft kind of an effect. It really depends on how much pressure you put. If you put in a lot of it, it's going to become too much. So I would be very gentle with it and just apply in a go rather than making like spots like these. Spots are not really going to look that good. But if you are soft and just keep applying all in one go, it'll look nice. Okay, so feel free to redo this however you want, but we just want a soft, frosted kind of a look, and that's great. Okay, next thing we're going to work with are the edges. We need to highlight the edges a bit more, make them a bit more prominent. So we're creating a new clipping mask now, and we're changing the blend mode of this layer to color dodge, and we're returning to the soft airbrush, so in airbrushing. And this time we will use this light lilac color, the first color in the third row, and just about the edges. So that's too much. I would reduce my brush size to about 9 to 10%, and very gently you can build it in this color rather than painting it like that. Just build it in softly, because we will be blending it as well. And just above the edges as well, the top edges, fan it out a bit. Give it that nice 3D kind of an effect that makes it look like it's curving into the natural curves of this shell. There you go. And do the same thing on the lower side as well. Okay, so before we go ahead and blend this, I want you to reduce the opacity of this layer to about 50%, because that will take care of most of the things itself. Okay, so then just blend things lightly. I would do the tops definitely. And you can see like you're getting this nice curved kind of a scalloped kind of an effect already, just with the placement of all of the colors. I'm going to go back to my textures layer and just blend in some of this texture slightly, because I felt like it was too much. You don't have to if you're pretty happy with yours, that's good. But I wouldn't do too much of it anyway. That's good. All right, next we're going to go ahead and add in a little bit more of a shadow now. You can imagine now this side of the shell is curving up like that, so it's going to be casting a shadow in this area, isn't it? So let's go ahead and paint that. So to do that, we'll create a new clipping mask on top, change the blend mode to multiply, and then we're going to use this light sea green color, okay? And we're going to this time select the medium hard airbrush. Now this brush is fantastic, okay? It gives you a nice firm kind of an outline as well, but it also gives you something more buildable. And it can also retain its shape a whole lot more than the soft airbrush, which I really like. So it gives a nice kind of a textured appearance as well. So my brush's opacity right now is about 66%. So you can keep that, and we will keep building accordingly with this. So what we're going to do now is just paint in a bit more of a shadow of this. Now again, don't just go like that and paint the shadow, build it in softly. That's where the hard edges of this brush really come in good use. Okay, so that's looking pretty nice, and you can extend some of the shadows as well inside along the edges. It's also looking really good now. Let's do the same thing on this side too. Okay, so that's great. Now we're just going to blend the outer edges of these shadows, just slightly, not too much. We still like the crisp outline that we have for most of the shadows. Yeah. Okay, so that's great. Now for the last step for our inner shell, for now at least, we're just going to add in a little bit more of shadows, more curved shadows over here. We're going to highlight these a bit more, pronounce them a bit more. Also, this light sea green adds in a bit more of this iridescent effect, as you might have seen. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode to multiply. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some more shadows, like I said. So these are going to be with this light, let's say, which color should we go for? Let's go with this, the light lavender color, okay? And the light lavender color is right next to, well, this is the fourth swatch in the fourth row, okay? So we're going to paint in the pearl shadow now. So you can see how beautiful that's looking. We're still using the same medium hard airbrush for this. Okay. So paint in that, and you can imagine as well that the pearl is going to be casting a shadow like this, but it's not going to be a uniform circle like that because of the curved edges, the scallops of the inner shell there. So you can imagine that it's slightly more varied in how the shadow is falling. Something like that. That helps. Okay, that's good. And then we can also enhance these upper shadows as well. And if you're ever in doubt if these actually work, any of these shadows, just go ahead and turn off your sketch layer, and you can see that the scalloped shape is also being maintained with just the colors and shadows now. So yeah, you don't need the sketch at this point, at least for this part. But yeah, so let's just quickly add in these here. Okay, so that's great. We are done with our inner shell, at least for now. So let's go ahead and group all of our inner shell layers. Go to layers here and select group. Procreate has changed things so much. I used to mess it up a lot. I kept going back here where the group was before. But yeah, we're going to rename this group as Inner Shell. And that's great. Okay, I think we can actually change this color that we had over here, the multiply layer, the last layer that we did with this fourth color in the fourth row, make it a little bit more saturated with this lavender color instead. So a quick way to do this, and this is a quick Procreate technique as well, you can just go ahead and turn on alpha lock, tap out of layers, and then select the color that you want. So we want this lavender color here, which is right next to sea green. And we are then going to go ahead back into our layers and then go to fill layer, and the color is filled in. It's a very minute difference, this color, but it gives a very nice saturated kind of an effect. Like if you take a look, it's a little bit grayish. I don't know if you can see the color difference here, but it will make a difference if you do change it to a bit more of a saturated effect here. Okay, so tap out of alpha lock. Even if you don't change it, it's not too much of a difference, but I like it that way. Okay, so we're done with the inner shell now. Let's work on the outer shell. So to start that off, we are going to create a new clipping mask to the outer shell layer, and we're going to change the blend mode of this one to add, because we're going to be adding in highlights now on our shell to make it a bit shiny, a bit more 3D as well. So let's do that with our highlights and shadows once again. So we're going to use this lilac gray color now, the fourth color. We will use it for this one now. Okay, and we've still got our medium hard airbrush selected. So we're just going to go ahead and paint it slightly on the edges. Adjust your brush size accordingly, so about 10% or so, and then just build this color in very lightly. Do not add a lot of pressure, and just because it will blow to white. It's add, so it's going to bring in as much brightness as it can. But we're going to be gentle with this, and just on the outer edge of these, add in this soft texture kind of effect with building in this nice highlight color. And then similarly on top as well. Just like that. Okay? And now we're going to reduce the opacity down to quite a bit actually. Let's say, depends on how much you've really done it, because if you have put a lot of pressure, then you might need to reduce it quite a whole lot more. For me right now, I don't think I need to do too much. So currently I'm on like about 47, but if you feel like it's too much or too little, adjust accordingly. Or you can always go ahead and paint some more, because it's going to be able to be visible still if you add a bit more. So anywhere between 20 to 40%, feel free to adjust accordingly. We're going to go ahead and just blend in the inner edges now of this, so that we have a crisp outline over here, but we are blending in the inner edge. Alright, so that's great. Now let's get started with adding in some shadows now. So the shadows will go to the opposite side. So to do that, we're creating a new clipping mask, changing the blend mode to multiply, and then we're going to use the same color, the same brush, and we're going to add in our shadows on the opposite side. And once again, just reduce your brush size to go to the narrower areas. It all becomes very intuitive the more you visualize and see what areas are narrow, which ones are requiring a larger brush. So you don't need to worry too much about what brush size is this going to be, or what opacity maybe, yes, but the brush size is very intuitive. So remember to add in your shadows on the top here as well. And then we're going to go ahead and just blend in the inner edges again, keeping in mind that we are not going to touch the outer edges because that's how we get our crisp outlines. And don't blend too much as well, because that way you will lose the texture that the medium hard airbrush is giving us. So yeah, I think that looks nice. Okay, we can enhance these a little bit more now, the shadows. So create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode to multiply. And then we're going to go ahead and use this light blue color, because I think it would look nice that this blue color from the background is getting reflected in the shadows as well a little bit. So let's reduce the brush size now to about 3% or so, because we're getting right into the grooves here. And then just blend things again. Once again, remember just one side needs to be blended in because we don't want blending on both the sides, it'll be too much. And you will lose the outline. Alright, so that's looking nice. Okay, now we can turn off our sketch layer. And without it as well, you can see we've got the nice curves of each of these curves, I don't know, of each of these of the outer shell still visible to us, so that's great. Okay, so we're going to add in some highlights now to this as well. So let's create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode of this one again to add. And we're going to use our lilac gray color, so fourth color in the fourth row. And this time, let's use the soft airbrush. And we're going to paint in just some edge highlights. So you can reduce your brush size again to about 6 to 7%. Or even 4%, and then just gently add in some highlights here on the edges. You can even follow the shape a bit more. Okay, and I would just blend these as well, just slightly, so that they seem to be flowing continuously rather than look abrupt. And we'll be reducing the opacity of this layer in a minute too, so don't worry, if it looks too white, it will be reduced. So don't go and blend too much already. Okay, so before let's just finish this as well. So the top parts as well. There's not much to really blend on the top edge, so we'll leave it as it is. And now we can reduce the opacity of this layer down to about 60%, and I think that looks nice and shiny already. Good. I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to add in a bit more of an iridescent effect again with the sea green color this time. So let's create a new clipping mask, and then we're going to keep the blend mode as normal this time. Choose the sea green color, and then we've still got the soft airbrush. I'm going to increase my brush size somewhere around 18%, and then just paint in nice soft sea green color. Slightly on this side too. That's it. I think that looks very good. You can blend it in as well, just mildly. Okay, so you can see it's all looking so nice and shiny already now. So to make this shell look like a curved one, a bit more of a spherical kind of a structure, we need to add some more shadows and highlights around the periphery and the center. Okay, so to do that, let's create a new clipping mask, change the blend mode to multiply, and then we're going to use this light lilac color. So this one's the first color in the third row. And we've still got the soft airbrush selected. We're going to increase our brush size to about 43-44%. And then just about the edges of this, we're going to paint in some shadows. Okay, and then with the soft airbrush as your smudge tool again, we're just going to smudge these out from the center and drag the color slightly to the lower end as well. So now you can see it's giving an illusion of it being a bit more of a sphere rather than a flat structure that it looked like before. And to enhance this effect even more, we're going to add in one central highlight as well. So create a new clipping mask, change the blend mode to add, and then we're going to, with the same color, just add in a little central highlight over here. Okay, and then just blend it in again. Don't make it too much because we don't want it to be too shiny. But I think this is definitely making it look like it's so much more spherical. It's got a nice shape to it. And it's casting a nice shadow up here as well to this. Well, it's kind of a glow, which is casting a shadow of the pearl onto the shell there too. Okay, so that's good. Last step here before we move on to the next part, we're going to add in this texture of the fresco brush here as well. So let's create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode to color dodge. And then this time, let's say we can use the light blue color for our fresco texture. So go back to painting in fresco and just add in a slight texture again. Do this. So it gives a bit of a frosted effect, exactly what we want. Alright, so this outer shell is done as well, so let's go ahead and group all of our outer shell layers together. And we're going to rename this as the outer shell group. Okay, so that looks great. Let's work on the shell edge now. So we're going to create a new clipping mask to this layer, and we'll be working on adding some more shadows and highlights to this particular layer as well, so to give that kind of a scalloped effect a little bit more. So to do that, we're going to just change the blend mode to multiply, and then we can use the soft airbrush again. So let's go back to soft airbrush, and this time we're going to use this really bright baby pink color that we've got here. So the last color in the color palette, and reduce your brush size to about 12 to 13%, and this time in the inner grooves of our edge we're just going to paint in a slight shadow. Make sure it goes only into the inner grooves and then also in this lower edge. The flat part, I mean. Okay, and then go ahead and blend this as well. So soft airbrush for blending. Just blend the ends, don't blend everything. And I would also just extend the color all the way to the edge here, because it gives a nice distinction between the curving upper ends and the flat part of the lower part of the shell. Okay, so that's looking good. So next we're going to just add in some highlights on the top parts. So create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode to add. And then we're going to use the same color and same brush, paint in some highlights. I will just increase my brush size a bit to about 9% or so. Once again, just softly build up your colors. And then just blend in the ends again. Okay, so that's looking pretty nice, but it's too bright. So we're going to reduce the opacity of this layer down to about, I'd say, depending again on how bright yours is. This is too bright for mine, so I'm going to reduce mine down to about 55%. And I think that's good. Okay, one more thing that I would do at this point is to just add in a little bit more highlights to the edges as well. To the edge of the edges. I hope I haven't confused you way too much. Alright, so that's done, and I think that's looking pretty good. Okay, so we're done with the shell edge lines now as well, so we're going to group these together and call this the shell edge. Oh, it's not shield, it's shell. Okay, so shell edge is done as well, and that's great. Okay, so let's work on the pearl now. So we're going to create a new clipping mask for the pearl layer. And then the whole idea behind having any kind of color on the pearl is that it's really shiny, isn't it? So it's going to reflect everything that is surrounding it. So we've got nice colors like lilac, blue, purple. We've got all of these shades in there. So that's exactly what we're going to put on this pearl now, in different ways. Okay, so let's start with this light lilac color. So this is the first color in the second row, and we're going to return to our medium hard airbrush now. So we really want this to be a nice textured kind of an appearance. So again, we are going to increase the brush size to about 23% or so. And then opacity is still at 66%. And all we're going to do is just paint in something in the center. I'm going to increase it more, my brush size, to about 40%. Okay, so just build in this thing a little bit and see. I think that's pretty good. Actually, let's clear it up and start it again. This is a very crucial step, so make sure that you get this right. So I'd say 48%, build it in slightly, but yeah, that's a nice color that way. Okay, next we're going to create another layer. So you can see even in here, we have more of a central area which is darker, and then surrounding areas are lighter, and that's what we want with this medium hard airbrush. Okay, so new clipping mask on top of this, and we're going to use this light blue color now, the one next to the lilac we've been using so far. And then just reduce your brush size now to about 33%, and then just in the center we're going to paint in this reflected blue color. Okay, now create another clipping mask on top, and you can imagine now we have a nice purple color over here as well, because it's getting reflected from the surroundings of the shell. So this purple color is roughly equivalent to this purple shade that I've got here in the third row. So the third color in the third row. And then we're just going to paint in this purple shade at the lower end, just like that. That's too much. But yeah, something like that. And then just very gently, if you feel you need to blend in something, you can. But I wouldn't blend in too much of anything here. Add in a bit more if you need. Okay, I know it looks very muddy right now, but wait till we add in the highlights, because that's our last step. So let's create a new clipping mask, and then we're going to change the blend mode to add. Okay, and we're going to use the pearl's base color, which was this really bright, the pearl base color. Well, you can turn it off and see again. This color. So just pick it up again, and it's basically the inner shell color again. Okay, so turn them back on, and then we're just going to go ahead and paint in our highlight. So highlight, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's giving a very nice textured kind of an effect, and that's how you build this, build any kind of color up with the medium hard airbrush. It's a little bit of a difficult brush to master, but it's a fun one, trust me. So yeah, just blend in things slightly. Don't overblend the texture here at all, because you will lose the rough kind of effect here. So we're just going to also paint in some highlights around the edges of this pearl. So I wouldn't apply too much of a highlight on top, but more around the base. And then we're just going to blend in the edges. Okay, so there you go. That was very easy, wasn't it? So it doesn't take much to really paint pearls, but yeah, so the pearl is done. So let's go ahead and just group our pearl layers together, rename this as pearl, and we're good. Okay, I want to brighten up the inner edges, the inner surfaces of our shell a bit more. So to do that, let's go to the inner shell group and add in a clipping mask on top now. And then we're going to change the blend mode this time to color burn. So color burn also adds in a darker shade of whatever you are coloring in, but it also somehow manages to maintain some of the colors that are present around it, more than what Multiply does. So you'll see what I mean in a second when I show you the effect. So we're going to go ahead and use the same base color that we had, the inner shell color, and then let's go ahead and just use the soft airbrush for this because we want more of a uniform color. So I'm going to increase the brush size to whatever you want, like 55% or so, and just paint in this. Look at that gorgeous saturation coming through now. Okay, so this is what color burn does. Although you can see it's just a light gray, but it's giving a beautiful look. But if you see what Multiply does, Multiply doesn't allow the colors to come through as much, so it's more appropriate for shadows than color burn, which really allows the underlying colors to shine a bit more. But that's not always the case, so feel free to experiment. Okay, so that's that. And then we're also going to repeat the same effect of adding the color burn layer to the outer shell. So let's create a new clipping mask to the outer shell group and change the blend mode to color burn here as well. And then we're just going to paint in with the same color this beautiful thing. So you can also see by painting in this final color shade here, it all looks so much more uniform as well. So that is something that using blend modes at the end to unify all the shades you've done before also is a trick which really helps in getting harmonized illustrations. Okay, and last thing I want to do before we finish off with the pearl, at least pearl and the shell, is to just add in a tiny bit of a glow to our pearl as well. So to do that, let's go ahead and duplicate our base pearl layer. And this lower layer that we have, we're going to apply a Gaussian blur to this. So go to Adjustments, Gaussian blur, and then let's see, about 6 to 7% of a glow. We don't want it to be too much, it's just going to be a lot. And we're going to return to layers and then just change the blend mode to what we want. Now, if you want it to be very bright, go ahead and use whichever ones you want. I want it to be a very soft one, so I'm just going to use soft light, and that's it. It's a very subtle glow, it's not too much, and really if you don't feel like adding it, you can skip it as well. But that's that, and we're done with all of our shell and pearl layers, so that's great. So let's get started with the seaweed next as well. So for the seaweed, we're going to just use the base seaweed color and a bit of a gradient as well. So to do that, let's go to the seaweed layer and then create a clipping mask to this layer. And we're going to use this darker blue color, the last color in the second row. And with the soft airbrush, you can just go ahead and paint in a bit more of a color gradient to the lower ends of the seaweed. Just helps to get a bit more color in there. And that's it. Okay. And then with the soft airbrush as your smudge tool again, just blend it in slightly. Okay. Next, we're going to add in some shadows. So you can see that the seaweed is rippling here and there like that. So we just need to add in shadows to the areas which are possibly, we think might be curving, and so in shadows. Okay, so create a new clipping mask, change the blend mode to multiply, and then again with the soft airbrush and the base seaweed color. So you can either pick it up from here or select this fourth color in the second row. And then reduce your brush size to about 15% and then mark in areas where you think that the seaweed might be curving, so will be in shadows. So something like this. It really depends on what shape you've drawn the seaweeds. If you've more or less followed what's in the sketch, then this is where you could lightly place in all of those shadows. But if you've added in some more ripples, then you might need to add in some shadows in some different areas as well. So feel free to see what fits your illustration. But yeah, once that's done, you can go ahead and just blend in things slightly. Alright, so that already looks like it's rippling quite a lot, so good. Okay, next we're going to just draw some central veins here on all of our seaweed, and we're just going to have some fun with it. Okay, so the main point of this entire illustration was getting the textures and the colors right for getting an iridescent effect on the pearls, so we are not going to concentrate too much on making the seaweed look really realistic. So let's go ahead and create a clipping mask here to our seaweed group, and then change the blend mode this time to screen. And then we're going to go to drawing and then select the copperhead brush. Copperhead brush is a cool one for just adding in a bit more of a texture. So with the same base seaweed color, and I've got a brush size of about 5%. That's too much. I'm going to reduce it down to about 3%. So you can just go ahead and paint an undulating kind of an effect here, which would follow the seaweed that you have created, and create a central vein for that. Nice kind of an effect, textured one. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. And then we're just going to paint in some edge highlights as well to complete our seaweed. So create a new clipping mask and then change the blend mode to color dodge for our highlights. And we're going to return to our medium hard airbrush this time. Reduce your brush size to about 4%. And then just paint in some edge highlights. You don't need to go all in one stroke, just build it up as you need. And if at any time you feel like you're struggling with this brush, feel free to go back to your soft airbrush and experiment, but really try and practice with this one. It's a very useful brush and I like it quite a lot now. And you can see with the color dodge as well, it gives such a nice color variation depending on your color gradients underlying it. So it's a nice lighter blue up there, but it's darker blue here. So this is something that you can get with color dodge quite well. Okay, and once you're done, you can just slightly blend in any areas you want. Alright, so pretty happy with that. And that's our seaweed done as well. So let's go ahead and group our seaweed layers together and rename this group as seaweed. And that's great. Okay, so next we have to work on our bubbles. So we're going to create a new clipping mask to our bubbles layer. And you can go two ways with your bubbles now. You can either add a multiply layer to get the darker edge of your bubbles, or you can erase sections of your bubbles. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use the multiply one. So we change the blend mode to multiply of this. clipping mask, we're going to select our base color again for the bubbles, which was the first color in the second row. And then all we're going to do now is, with the same medium hard airbrush, we're going to reduce the brush size to about 3 to 4%, well, depending on the size of the bubble really. And we're just going to go ahead and on one side, now pick a side, whether it's going to be left or the right side, preferably the lower, just mark in little crescents like this. Okay, so that's already giving the effect of a translucent bubble, and just do this for all of them. Alright, so that's all done. Next we're going to add in some highlights to our bubbles, and this will be done in 2 different layers. So for the first one, let's create a clipping mask and then change the blend mode to add. And then with the same color, we're just going to add in some highlights, but this time on the opposite side. And as you can see, it's still a little muted, even though our highlight add layer is on maximum opacity right now. And that is because the opacity of the base layer is already so low. It's about 35%, our bubble base layer, which is why any added highlights or shadows or whatever that we do on any of the blend modes will also be lessened. So if we increase the bubble base layer's opacity to maximum, this will shoot up to really bright highlights as well. Okay, so these are all done, but I want my bubbles highlights to be a bit brighter. So now we're going to just create another layer on top, but we're not going to make it a clipping mask. Okay, so another layer and then change the blend mode to add this time, and you'll see the difference when we add our highlight. It's suddenly nice and bright, isn't it? So that's what we want, but we don't want it to be too much. So just add in slight highlights on the bubbles here. Okay, so already much shinier, that's great, but I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer a bit because it's a bit too shiny in my opinion. So I will reduce it down to about 30% or so, 33%. And then what we're going to do is make these bubbles glow a bit more. So to do that, I'm going to duplicate the base bubble layer that we had, and then change the blend mode of the lower one to color dodge. Okay, and then we're just going to apply a Gaussian blur to this layer. You can see it's all nicely softly glowing up, and I wouldn't apply too much of a blur really, just about 4 to 5%. I think that's pretty good. You can increase the opacity of this layer if you want it to be glowing a lot, but I think I'm pretty happy with the 35%. And in fact, I might just go ahead and erase the lower ones slightly because I don't want them to be glowing too much. I like it when the top part's glowing and the lower one isn't, but you're feel free to keep all of them glowing as you want. Okay, so we're almost done with this illustration. So the last things to do is just we're going to group our bubbles layers together, rename this as bubbles, and just to work on the background really quickly, let's go ahead and darken and saturate the area behind our pearl a bit more. So to do that, we'll create a new clipping mask behind, on our background. It doesn't even matter now whether it's a clipping mask really, because the entire canvas is a clipping mask, so it's okay. Yeah, might as well just remove the clipping mask, it's fine. So what we're going to do now is just change the blend mode of this to color burn, because again, we want it to be dark and saturated. Okay, so for that, we're going to use our inner shell color, so first color in the second row, and let's go back to using the soft brush. Okay, and I've got a brush size of about 14-15%. We're just going to go ahead and use something like this. Right, looks nice. And then apply a Gaussian blur to this layer, so it spreads out a bit more, so about 20% or so. And I'm going to duplicate this layer now. That's nice, but it's too much, so we can reduce it to about 40%. And I think that's pretty nice. Okay, so that's good. If you want, you can also just move them around. I think I would like this glow to be a bit more visible centrally. So I would move them. I just selected both of them and then tapped on this move one, and then you can move both of them together at the same time with that. And then we're just going to add in some ocean ripples as well. Add some fun texture to it. Okay, so create a new new layer, and this one will be below the glow, I think. Should be fine. And we can then go to elements here and select the oceans brush. Okay, we've still got the same color, the first color in the second row, and then I would have my brush size somewhere around 90-91, and the opacity of this brush to be somewhere around 79-80% or so. Okay, and just this area, you can go ahead and paint in some beautiful ocean floor ripples. Okay, now feel free to try this again and again. Also remember to change the blend mode of this layer to add. There you go. Now that's looking nice. Okay, beautiful. And you can reduce the opacity as you need for this layer. I think I'm pretty happy with how it's looking at 73. Yours might be a bit different, so feel free to experiment. And I would just want my ripples to be a little bit somewhere below where this lower half of the shell is, really. So it looks like it's sitting on the ocean bed as such. All right. That's pretty good. And then for the final step for this entire illustration, we're going to add in a tiny bit of a shadow here right below the shell as well. So to do that, let's go ahead and create a new layer above our ripples. Change the blend mode to color burn. And then with the soft airbrush, where did it go? Soft airbrush or soft brush, whichever, it doesn't matter. And we've still got the same color. All we're going to do is just paint in some soft shadow right here below the shell. Okay. Oops. Just going to blend this slightly so it falls within the area of the shell itself. Okay. Apply a slight Gaussian blur, about 3 to 4%. If you want, you can duplicate that to enhance it a bit more. as much as you want. I think once is more than enough, and I would actually reduce it down to about 30% the opacity. All right, so that's our illustration, guys. This is all done. And thank you so much for joining me for this illustration, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed learning all of these new techniques. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. And of course, if you'd like to share your creation with me online, guys, remember to tag me in your posts on Instagram. I'd absolutely love seeing your version of the tutorial and sharing it on my page as well. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this tutorial, and don't forget to check out my other videos too. I've got so many more magical projects waiting for you. New tutorials will come out every week on my channel now, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care!